I hate to stir it up, but Afrojack has been talking shit about you. Anything you want to say? Who? Afrojack? Who? That's what I thought. Thank you.
Don't what's up me, you sucker. Don't what's up me, you sucker. I should blap y'all.
Eminem and 50 Cent aren't just mentor and mentee. They're real friends who move like a unit. Whenever one gets attacked, the other steps in swinging, whether it's at an award show or in the middle of a rap beef. And make no mistake, these two have earned a reputation as some of the most ruthless rappers alive when it comes to feuds. They've gone after everybody, from rivals like Ja Rule to former allies like The Game. For M and 50, beef isn't just business, it's entertainment, and they don't hesitate to burn bridges if it means proving a point. Take August 2023, for example. Eminem teamed up with Ez Mil on a track called Realist. While this was Ez Mil's big industry debut, Eminem hijacked the spotlight with a vicious lyrical strike aimed at The Game. He wasn't just showing off, he was sending a message that he's still untouchable and daring anyone to step up. M spit, "All the envious rappers I torch if I'm on a joint with them. And the only retort is, I'm not played in the club. Put a cork in it. The only reason they still play your songs in the clubs is cause you still performing." Those bars were a direct clapback at The Game, who once claimed M's music wasn't hot in clubs during his 10-minute diss, Black Slim Shady. But this feud has roots way deeper than just words. It all started when Dr. Dre discovered The Game and decided to boost him by placing him inside 50's G Unit. It was meant to be the perfect launchpad, aligning him with 50 and even Eminem. At first, it looked like the smartest move in the game. His debut album, the documentary, proved his raw talent and went on to be a huge success. Tracks like How We Do and Hate It or Love It turned into instant classics, showing off The Game's lyrical skills and raw storytelling. His debut was soaring, but behind the scenes, cracks started to form in his relationship with 50 Cent, and the tension only got worse as the spotlight grew brighter. The first real sign of trouble came during the shoot for Hate It or Love It. Word spread that 50 refused to sit next to The Game in the car for the video. That one move lit up rumors of a rift, and while nobody ever confirmed why, it was clear things weren't as solid as they seemed. Even though the video dropped to praise, the turning point came when 50 went on live radio and straight up announced The Game was no longer part of G Unit. That bombshell set everything off. Moments later, The Game tried to enter the radio station and chaos broke loose. A scuffle turned violent and shots were fired. The industry was in shock. Both sides scrambled to cool things down, and by March 2005, they staged a public peace treaty, saying they wanted to squash the beef. But that so-called truce was nothing but smoke and mirrors. Once The Game officially broke away from G Unit, 50 and his crew questioned his loyalty and even mocked his street credibility. That only fueled The Game's fire. He hit the booth and dropped a brutal diss track, 300 bars and running, a blistering 15-minute assault that blew the feud wide open and sparked a back-and-forth war of disses that fans still talk about today. The feud between The Game and 50 Cent exploded fast, both of them dropping track after track, each one sharper than the last. Fans were glued to the chaos, picking sides as the lyrical war turned into one of hip-hop's most talked-about battles. By 2006, The Game tried to play peacemaker, reaching out with an olive branch and saying he wanted to squash things. But 50, he stayed silent. No response, no acknowledgement, just cold refusal to let it go. And with over 100 diss tracks flying back and forth, this was no ordinary beef. This was all-out war.
The Mariah thing, yeah, that's true. Those rumors are true, and I'm not gonna deny them.
So did you date him?
No. Can I just clarify that I did not have a physical relationship with him? I did not have an intimate relationship. I've been with less men than I can, than on one hand. So he's not one of those men.
Years later in 2010, The Game went even further, hitting Twitter and publicly begging 50 to end the feud. But once again, 50 didn't bite. No reply, no truce. Instead, he kept fanning the flames, dropping new music that threw more fuel on the fire. By 2012, The Game was so desperate he even started a petition for a full G Unit reunion, hoping to rebuild what was broken. But the idea was dead on arrival. G Unit wanted nothing to do with him, and when they reunited at Summer Jam in 2014 without The Game, it was a public message. He was out for good. Even years later, the bad blood didn't stop. In 2022, 50 Cent mocked The Game for posing in a picture with Lloyd Banks. questioning his motives and making it clear that no matter how much time passed, the scars of their beef were never going to fade. The Game later tried to act like the beef with 50 Cent was done, saying publicly that he had no issues anymore and the past was behind them. But just as that tension cooled down, another war started brewing. This time with Eminem himself. The Game dropped a bomb with his diss track, The Black Slim Shady. In it, he went after Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, and even dragged Eminem's daughter into the mix. The shots were personal and ruthless, aiming to cut deep into M's life, career, and reputation. It wasn't just music. It was a calculated attempt to spark a headline-making feud. When the track hit, reactions split the culture in half. Some praised the Game for his boldness, saying it took guts to call out one of the greatest rappers alive. Others slammed it as nothing but a desperate reach for attention. Suddenly, the hip-hop world was arguing nonstop.
The real reason I wasn't on the Super Bowl is because I'm not a safe artist. So it's just like, he not safe, so they went with the safe art.
Twitter threads, YouTube breakdowns, and Instagram debates had fans picking sides between Eminem's loyal army and the Game's defenders. The diss wasn't just noise, it raised real questions. Why would the Game come at Eminem now, after years of avoiding direct smoke? What did he really want to prove by targeting one of the most respected MCs in history? February 13th, 2022. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick, and Mary J. Blige shut down the Super Bowl halftime show with one of the most legendary performances ever. But there was one glaring absence: the Game. Despite his history with Dr. Dre and his status as a West Coast heavyweight, he was nowhere to be seen, and fans noticed instantly. The Game didn't hide his feelings either. He jumped on social media, reposting stories that questioned why he wasn't included in what was supposed to be a full celebration of LA hip-hop. To him, it was personal. He believed he had earned the right to be on that stage alongside Dre and Snoop, and being excluded cut deep. Later, on the I Am Athlete podcast, the Game admitted the omission stung. He said he felt labeled as not safe, too raw, too unpredictable, and too controversial for a family-friendly stage like the Super Bowl. In his mind, his authenticity was being pushed aside for polished, safe choices that wouldn't stir trouble. By March 2022, the bitterness had grown. On Drink Champs with NORE and DJ EFN, the Game made explosive claims that shook the culture. He said Kanye West had done more for his career in recent years than Dr. Dre ever did. That statement alone was wild enough, but then he turned his attention to Eminem. The Game boldly claimed he was the better rapper, flat out dismissing Eminem's superiority. He even called for a versus battle, daring M to face him head-on in front of the world. Even after catching heat online for his Drink Champs rant, the Game didn't flinch. In an Instagram video posted right after the interview, he doubled down, saying with his chest that he truly believed he was better than Slim Shady. He admitted fans would always have different opinions, but to him, the answer was clear. He was the superior rapper. Period. The Game even floated the idea of a rap battle or maybe a collab with Eminem just to prove once and for all where they stood. But whether this feud ever ends or keeps spiraling is still a mystery. Because right when that storm was brewing, another old war came back into the spotlight: Eminem versus Nick Cannon. Back in the late 2000s, the industry buzzed with rumors about a fling between Eminem and Mariah Carey. Mariah denied it, but M poured gasoline on the gossip in his track Bagpipes from Baghdad off his Relapse album. In it, he didn't just address his supposed past with Mariah, he took aim directly at her husband at the time, Nick Cannon. Eminem rapped, "Mariah, whatever happened to us? Why did we have to break up?" Then he turned on Nick with brutal lines. "Nick Cannon better back up, I'm not playing. I want her back, you punk. Nick, you had your fun. I've come to kick you in your sack of junk." The bars were raw, disrespectful, and left no room for misunderstanding. It was personal. Nick wasn't about to let that slide. He fired back in a now-deleted Tumblr post, threatening to sue M and declaring, "I don't know why no one has stood up to you yet, but I guess it's going to take a corny, whack-rapping boy toy from Nickelodeon to set you straight. Trust, I'm going to be relentless. You are my new full-time job, homie." And if that wasn't enough, Mariah herself joined the battle, seemingly clapping back at Eminem with her hit single, Obsessed, complete with a music video. Mariah Carey even took it a step further by dressing up like Eminem in the Obsessed video, pouring gas on an already blazing feud. For years after that, things seemed to cool off between Eminem and Nick Cannon, but it was only temporary. In September 2019, the beef roared back to life when Cannon appeared on T.I.'s Expeditiously podcast. On the show, Cannon recalled being on a private jet with Eminem after a trip to Africa, only for M to suddenly drop a track throwing shots at Mariah. Feeling like he had to defend his wife, Cannon wrote M a long letter. He said he respected him as an artist but demanded accountability for his disrespect. Fans thought Nick handled it in a mature way, but Eminem didn't see it like that. To him, those were fighting words. Not long after, M came swinging again, this time through a fiery verse on Fat Joe's track Lord Above. He rapped, "I know me and Mariah didn't end on a high note, but that other dude's whipped, he got him neutered, tried to tell him this chick's a nut job before he got his jewels clipped. Fool, quit, you're not gonna do sigh. I'd let her chop my off too before I lose to you, Nick." Nick didn't stay quiet. He hopped on Instagram and clowned the whole thing.
He is fat.
That's shit funny.
He looks like he got a pack of hot dogs on the back of his neck.
Saying Fat Joe's album was stacked with stars, but also joking. He even did some charity work and dug Eminem out his grave. I mean, cave. Cannon then went further, publicly inviting M to step into his own arena on MTV's Wild 'N Out. But Nick wasn't done talking. He dropped a diss track titled The Invitation, where he went all in with personal shots rapping, "Call Kim, somebody get Haley, and that other kid. You raising that ain't even your baby. My baby mama killed you off a decade ago. You're still crying about it." Some fans applauded Nick Cannon for standing tall against Eminem's brutal shots. They said he showed courage by refusing to back down and praised him for defending his wife and family's honor no matter the cost. But others weren't impressed. Critics argued Nick was just keeping an old feud alive when it was clearly time to move on. The media, of course, couldn't resist. Every tabloid and hip-hop outlet ran wild with the story, turning every little jab into headlines that screamed across the internet. Entertainment sites sensationalized the beef, and fans devoured it, hungry for the next diss, the next response, the next explosion. The conflict became bigger than just two artists. It was a full-blown spectacle. Still, not everyone wanted smoke. A chunk of fans begged for peace, saying they'd rather see Eminem and Nick focus on music instead of a feud that felt endless. They dreamed of a truce, something that would bury the hatchet once and for all. But the reality? This war had taken on a life of its own. Eminem and Cannon kept trading shots, both on wax and across social media. Nick even dug into M's past, sampling controversial tracks to try and drag his reputation down. It wasn't just a rap battle anymore, it was personal, spilling into every corner of their careers. In recent years, though, the chaos has slowed. Publicly, the feud between Eminem, 50 Cent, and Nick Cannon seems quieter, with fewer back and forths making headlines. But behind the scenes, fans and insiders whisper that the tension hasn't truly died. It's just waiting for the right spark to set everything off again. The long history of insults and diss tracks between these artists makes fans believe the feud is never truly over. Even when things seem calm, people dissect every lyric, every post, and every interview, hunting for subliminals and hidden shots. A single bar, a sly tweet, even a side-eye during a show is enough to spark speculation that the beef is still alive. And the questions go deeper than just, are they still mad? Some wonder if the feud is fueled by strategy as much as emotion. Is this all personal, built on bruised egos and old grudges? Or are M, Nick, and 50 all keeping the conflict alive just enough to stay relevant in a culture that feeds on controversy? To understand it, you gotta rewind. Nick Cannon met Mariah Carey at the 2005 Teen Choice Awards, and by 2008, the two were married. When Eminem's diss first dropped, they were still a fresh couple, which may explain why Nick came out swinging so hard to defend her. But even after their marriage ended in 2016, Cannon never stopped standing up for Mariah. They've kept things civil for the sake of their twins, Moroccan and Monroe, but Nick's protective energy never went away. Meanwhile, 50 Cent somehow found himself dragged into the crossfire. On his podcast, Nick clowned 50's weight, roasting him with the now viral line, "He looked like he got a pack of hot dogs in the back of his neck." Fans cracked up at the savage joke. But 50, known for clowning others himself, seemed unbothered. At first, 50 Cent brushed off Nick Cannon's hot dog neck joke, but he couldn't resist clapping back. He dropped a post on Instagram with a message about relying on God, making it clear that success isn't just about luck. In the caption, he fired a warning shot at Nick, saying, "If your marketing campaign is say something about 50, you're not gonna make it. Have a nice day." Classic 50. Cool, but cutting. This wasn't even the first time he took aim at Nick. Back in 2020 on The Breakfast Club, 50 was asked about Cannon's beef with Eminem. He made it clear that M thrives on battles and only gets more dangerous when challenged. Then the convo shifted to Cannon's track, "Used to Look Up to You." 50 clarified it wasn't aimed at M, it was a shot at him. And his response? Brutal. He called Nick legendary corny from the beginning and laughed off his rap attempts, straight up saying, "You suck, bro." Even the hosts admitted they couldn't figure out why Cannon was so passionate about battling when his bars just didn't measure up. But 50 being 50, he didn't stop there. In a more recent sit-down with Forbes' Brian J. Roberts, he threw another jab, this time about Cannon's personal life. While reflecting on his own regrets about buying a massive house, 50 joked that maybe Nick could have used it instead, since with 12 kids, he'd need the space more than anyone. The feud between Nick Cannon and Eminem, with 50 often jumping in, still has fans debating whether it's truly over or just simmering in the background, waiting for the next spark. Nobody knows if they'll ever bury the hatchet, but one thing's clear. In hip-hop, old wars never really die. They just wait to be reignited. And speaking of legendary grudges, before Nick ever stepped into the ring, there was the feud that defined 50's early career, his war with Ja Rule. It all kicked off in 1999 when Ja Rule was robbed at gunpoint while filming a music video. During the chaos, one of 50 Cent's affiliates allegedly snatched Ja's chain, an insult that couldn't be ignored in the rap world. According to 50, he later ran into Ja and the guy involved at a club, and Ja gave him a cold shoulder, acting like he didn't exist. But Ja tells a different story. He admits the robbery happened but swears he never saw 50 and the robber together. Instead, he claims the real problem started when 50 felt disrespected by Murder Inc. in Ja's label during the shoot for Murder for Life that same year. 50 didn't let it slide. He fired back with a diss track, Life's on the Line, aimed squarely at Ja Rule and Murder Inc. It was supposed to appear on his debut album Power of the Dollar, but that project never officially dropped. Meanwhile, Ja's debut album Veni Vedi Veci exploded, selling millions and making him a star. While 50 was still grinding in the shadows, the tension only got hotter. In 2000, both rappers were booked to perform at the same Atlanta nightclub. What should have been just another show turned into a heated confrontation that got physical, proving their beef was way past words. Things took a darker turn later that same year at the Hit Factory Studios in New York. Murder Inc. allegedly got tipped off that 50 was in the building recording, and Ja Rule showed up with backup. What followed was chaos. 50 Cent was stabbed by Murder Inc. rapper Black Child, nearly losing his life in the process. From that moment on, there was no going back. By 2002, 50 Cent came swinging harder than ever with his breakout single, Wanksta, widely believed to be inspired by Ja. The track blew up, peaking at number 13 on the Billboard charts and instantly cemented 50's place in rap history. But in 2002, 50 Cent's street credibility got put to the test. Irv Gotti, the boss behind Murder Inc., accused him of filing an order of protection against him and Ja Rule. In the streets, that kind of claim was deadly to a rapper's image. It painted 50 as someone running to the law instead of standing his ground. 50 immediately denied it, brushing off the accusation as lies meant to smear his name. And while his rep stayed solid, the truth eventually came out. Yes, an order of protection had been filed, but not by 50 himself. It was automatically issued by police after the violence with Murder Inc., not something he requested. That detail kept his image intact and even fueled his argument that Murder Inc. was reaching. Meanwhile, the music was turning into all-out warfare. From 2002 to 2003, both rappers unleashed a storm of diss tracks. 50 dropped songs like I Smell This and Back Down, and then came his infamous Hail Mary remake, which mocked Ja Rule's alleged obsession with Tupac. Ja wasn't quiet either. He clapped back with tracks like Loose Change and Guess Who Shot Ya, throwing everything he had at 50. Each release kept fans glued to the beef, waiting for the next strike, and it didn't stop there. Between 2007 and 2019, the rivalry still made headlines. In 2007, Ja Rule accused 50 of jacking his style, telling Angie Martinez on Hot 97 that after signing to Shady Records, 50 basically copied the formula he had already built. To Ja, this was proof that 50 wasn't as original as he claimed. But by 2013, the tone shifted. In an interview, Ja shocked fans by admitting that deep down, he knew 50 had won their feud. It sounded like closure, but then something wild happened. That same year, an unexpected encounter between the two suggested that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for a truce after all. In 2013, fate put Ja Rule and 50 Cent in the same row on the same flight, an encounter nobody expected. Ja even tweeted about the moment, and fans thought this could finally be the olive branch the rap world had been waiting for. Maybe, just maybe, the beef was over. But that hope didn't last long. Later that year, during his Hot 97 Summer Jam set, 50 couldn't resist taking another shot. He performed his classic diss, I Smell PD, mocking Ja Rule and Murder Inc. all over again. Just like that, any idea of peace was gone and the feud was right back in the spotlight. Then in 2014, Ja turned up the heat in his memoir, Unruly, The Highs and Lows of Becoming a Man. He accused 50 of snitching, claiming he tipped off police and sparked a federal investigation into Murder Inc. 50 quickly denied it, but the claim added another toxic layer to their already explosive rivalry. Even when other beefs dominated headlines, like Drake versus Meek Mill in 2015, both 50 and Ja took to Twitter to remind the world that their war was on another level. They shockingly agreed on one thing: nothing in rap compared to the brutality of their feud. By 2017, Ja Rule was drowning in bad press over the infamous Fyre Festival disaster, which collapsed into one of the biggest scams in music history. And of course, 50 pounced. He mocked Ja relentlessly on social media, roasting him while the world watched his credibility crumble. In 2018, things flared up yet again when Ja launched a Twitter attack on 50. 50 Cent clapped back with savage memes, trading personal insults with Ja Rule like it was second nature. But then came one of the pettiest and most legendary trolling moves in hip-hop history. In 2018, 50 claimed he bought 200 front-row tickets to one of Ja's shows in Las Vegas, just so those seats would stay empty. To make it worse, he photoshopped himself sitting alone in the vacant section, taunting Ja and clowning the turnout before the concert even started. By 2019, the insults escalated again. Jay tried to drag 50 by targeting his ties with Tekashi 69999, who was facing charges and accused of snitching. Ja called 50 a rat by association, comparing him directly to Tekashi, a low blow that stirred up more online chaos. Eminem also got pulled into the drama, though not by choice. At first, it wasn't M's fight. It was his loyalty to 50 that put him in Ja's crosshairs. Ja Rule went nuclear on Loose Change, aiming not just at M, but his entire family. He rapped, M, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known slut. So what's Haley gonna be when she grows up? That line crossed the line for fans. It was cruel, personal, and unforgivable. Eminem wasted no time firing back. He dropped tracks like Haley's Revenge and a blistering remix of Tupac's Hail Mary with 50 and Busta Rhymes backing him up. Ja tried to hold his ground with Clapback, but M buried him with Go to Sleep, making sure the feud reached nuclear levels. By 2004, though, M was over it. He released a track declaring the beef pointless, unprofitable, and childish, claiming his label had already won. Still, the damage was done. Ja Rule's career had taken a massive hit, and by the mid-2000s, many felt he was clinging to beef with M and 50 just to stay relevant. Even when Ja hinted at peace in interviews, he'd always circle back, reminding everyone that he and 50 were sworn enemies. Their beef became one of the longest, most infamous feuds in hip-hop history. In hip-hop, tension always bubbles under the surface, and that's what sparked the feud between Eminem and Joe Budden. It started back in 2011 when Slaughterhouse, Joe Budden, Royce da 5'9", Joel Ortiz, and Crooked Wayne signed to Eminem's Shady Records. Fans thought the group would finally get the shine they deserved, but things didn't go as planned. When they began working on Welcome to Our House, Eminem stepped in as executive producer. He pushed for a more polished, commercial sound with big hooks, but that clashed with the gritty, lyrical vibe Slaughterhouse fans loved. To Joe, it felt like the group was losing its identity. Budden, who had built a loyal cult following through his indie grind, believed Slaughterhouse didn't need Eminem's formula. On his podcast, he openly said the group would have been better off without him, even going as far as saying they were better than him. Joe also blasted Eminem's beats, calling them horrible and totally unfit for Slaughterhouse. In his eyes, M and his manager Paul Rosenberg had mishandled the group and forced them into a lane that destroyed their momentum. The tension between Eminem and Joe Budden eventually exploded into a full-on war. The spark came with Eminem's 2018 album Kamikaze, where he fired shots at multiple rappers, including Budden. While Machine Gun Kelly answered with Rap Devil, Joe's response hit way harder. On his podcast, Budden unleashed a brutal rant aimed at Eminem's character, business moves, relevance, and even his music. This wasn't just criticism, it was personal. Joe blamed M for mishandling Slaughterhouse and believed his influence ruined the group's chances of success. He Crooked later added fuel in an Instagram live, saying Joe had long been frustrated with how Eminem handled or failed to handle the group. To Budden, M's leadership wasn't just weak, it was destructive. Things escalated even more when Joe trashed M's 2017 album Revival. Many believed Eminem's lines in Chloroseptic about reaction videos were aimed squarely at Joe, making the beef even hotter. Then D12's Bizarre jumped in, calling out Budden for disrespecting M, and Joe fired back with threats, showing the feud was way past music. And of course, 50 Cent couldn't resist. He clowned Budden on Instagram, posting his picture with a caption hinting that Joe had a serious ass-whooping coming. With 50 in the mix, the beef wasn't just Eminem vs. Budden anymore. It was turning into a three-way war. By late 2018, Eminem sat down with Sway for an exclusive interview, breaking down Revival, Kamikaze, and the storm of controversies surrounding him. The conversation hit its peak when Eminem finally opened up about his beef with Machine Gun Kelly and Joe Budden. He admitted bluntly, "Me and Joe Budden aren't friends like that. We didn't go to the same high school. You know what I'm saying? I get that. But when I'm out here flying around doing interviews, using my platform to pump up Slaughterhouse every chance I get, and you're using your platform to trash me, that's where I drew the line." That frustration fueled Kamikaze, an album M described as him finally unloading his real opinions on everyone. He even revisited Slaughterhouse's demise, revealing they had a full project, Glass House, that never dropped because the group couldn't agree on which tracks to keep. "I thought they'd regroup and make more songs," he explained, "but I never heard anything back. By then, I was already deep into Revival." M also defended his role in Slaughterhouse's earlier album, Welcome to Our House, which fans criticized for being too polished. He said he purposely stayed hands-off, only giving feedback when asked. "We gave them another album. Next thing I know, I hear Joe talking about money. Who got paid? Who didn't? I don't even know if I made a dime off Slaughterhouse. I didn't care. I just believed in them." At the end of the day, Eminem laid it bare. In the rap game, sometimes you need a mentor, sometimes you need a brother, and sometimes you just need a deadly rhyme to shut the haters up. With Eminem and 50 Cent, you've got all three in one explosive package. If you made it this far, sound off in the comments. Whose side are you on in these feuds? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dives like this.